Shalom, my dear brothers and sisters in the faith. Today, we are going to talk about a passage that has often been misunderstood, misused, and even weaponized to demand submission to wicked systems. Romans 13, 1 through 2. Let every soul be subject to the governing authorities. For there is no authority except from Elohim, and the authorities that exist are appointed by Elohim. This verse has been used to say, you must obey all government laws, even the unjust ones, because Yahuah put them in power. And even more dangerously, it's been used to silence righteous resistance and promote blind obedience to corruption and oppression. But let's rightly divide this, because Yahuah is not the author of confusion, and he certainly doesn't call his people to follow unrighteousness. Yes, Romans 13 tells us to be subject to governing authorities, but it also says that those authorities are servants of Elohim for good. Paul is speaking of leadership that functions within Yahuah's design to reward good and punish evil. When governments flip that order, punishing righteousness and rewarding wickedness, they are no longer walking in Yahuah's authority. Let's not forget the many times in Scripture where obedience to Yahuah required disobedience to man. Daniel refused to obey the decree of King Darius and was thrown into the lion's den for praying to Yahuah instead of man. Elijah stood against King Ahab and Jezebel, confronting their idolatry and evil. The apostles in Acts 5:29 boldly declared, we ought to obey Elohim rather than men, when commanded not to preach in Yahushua's name. The Hebrew midwives in Egypt defied Pharaoh's command to murder the Hebrew babies because they feared Elohim more than man. So no, we are not called to follow governments or leaders into lawlessness, idolatry, or oppression just because they hold a title. Yahuah may allow rulers to rise, but not all are righteous rulers. Some are raised for judgment, like Pharaoh. Some for testing, like Nebuchadnezzar. Others for destruction. As followers of Yahushua, we walk the narrow path. We are not rebels without cause, but we are not slaves to corruption either. When a government's law aligns with righteousness, we follow peaceably. But when their decrees go against Thurah, truth, and holiness, we are commanded to stand firm in faithful resistance. Romans 13 is not a license for governments to abuse power, nor is it a commandment for believers to obey when those in power defy Yahuah. The true governing authority over us is Yahuah Sevaot. He is King of kings and Master of masters, and no earthly kingdom outranks his word. So, my brothers and sisters, may we be wise as serpents and harmless as doves. May we walk in discernment, not deception. And may we never trade righteousness for comfort or truth for compliance. We follow order, yes, but not at the expense of obedience to the Most High. Let us be loyal citizens of the kingdom of Yahuah, even if it means standing against the kingdoms of this world. Shalom and strength to you all, in the mighty name of Yahushua HaMashiach.